morning. I'm Cory.
And I'm Wallace.
And we're an early retired couple that are traveling the world. At the moment, we're in Kuta Bali, Indonesia.
And we've been here for a week now, and we haven't picked up the camera in that entire week since we arrived, because we've both been sick.
Yeah.
Cory was sick, kind of at the tail end of our stay in Kuta Bali. And then I picked it up as soon as we got here and have had a cold pretty much ever since. So we've just kind of wandered around a little bit.
So we're going to take you kind of like a day in Bali. We're going to go to one of our favorite restaurants for breakfast. One of the best things that's happened by coming here is I have 3 restaurants that are absolutely 100% dedicated gluten-free. So I've been eating really safely, so I've been feeling a lot better. So that helps.
Now, just a slight correction. One of those restaurants is dedicated 100% gluten-free. The other 2 are not, but they have separate dedicated gluten-free kitchens from the other non-gluten-free side, which...
I mean, you can't ask for anything more.
Yeah, that's huge. And Cory's been actually able to eat good, delicious food and not have to worry. So we're going to show you a couple of those today, and we're going to go wander around a little bit and show you just some of the area. We're just in a Gojek car right now on our way to the restaurant. And just our initial thoughts on Bali in general. It's busy. It's very busy here, even busier than we expected it to be, which was kind of a surprise. But it is very clean. The streets are much cleaner than they were when we were in Malaysia in general. So that was a pleasant surprise. It's not as walkable as I would have thought, mostly because it's really crowded. The sidewalks are very narrow. It's hard to get around, and even some of the smaller side streets are incredibly narrow. So as you're walking as a pedestrian, it's very difficult because you got cars and you got motorbikes zipping by trying to get around you. And
although we discovered yesterday walking along the seawall is actually more doable, so that's kind of nice.
Yeah, there's basically all along Kuta Beach. It runs basically from Legian Beach all the way down to Kuta Beach and all the way down to, I think it's pronounced German Beach, which is near where our hotel is. There's actually a kind of like a boardwalk, seawall type thing that we were able to walk down, which was actually quite pleasant. Yeah. So we're starting to learn a little bit more about the area we're staying, and yeah, that's making it a little bit easier. But other than that, it's a little bit chaotic, a little bit hectic. But you'd expect that because it is a beach resort, party town, which is not usually our kind of scene. This is the pad on Benny, which is where we've been having breakfast most days. It's a cute little sports bar type place, really friendly staff, really tasty food. So we're gonna go in and grab a table.
Here at Padang Benny, the staff are incredibly kind, and they speak really good English, which makes life a lot easier. But I guess that their main clientele is Aussie, and we were talking to the owner when we first came here, and the kitchen has a complete separate gluten-free section, and her whole staff is trained on cross-contamination and stuff like that. So their menu has 3 pages of specifically gluten-free. So that is just really, really nice and makes my life a lot easier. One thing that we've been loving is the fresh fruit juices. Like this one is dragon fruit, mint, and lime. It is so good. And then I think you got just plain squeezed orange juice. Everything is so fresh here and it's so cheap. So we're taking advantage of it while we're here.
Yeah, like Cory said, I've got a fresh squeezed orange juice, and it is delicious, and it's way more affordable here than it would be back in Canada. So we are totally enjoying it. Oh, that's delicious.
I got the smashed avocado with smoked salmon. One thing that they do that's really cool to make sure it comes out of the right kitchen, they put like a little flag that says gluten-free on it. And it's come on every single meal that I've ever gotten out of this place. And this is supposed to come on a sourdough bread, but I haven't had bread in like 3 months because we've been in Malaysia and I couldn't find it. So I actually have lost my taste for a lot of the gluten-free breads because they just taste like cardboard, and this was kind of the same. It's supposed to be sourdough bread, and I just found it to be mealy and not very pleasant, so I just skipped it. But I've had this multiple times, and it is delicious. So I don't need to tell you or eat it on screen to let you know. But everything is really well done. They do a medium polish, and it is very satisfying.
I've gone with a smoked salmon Benny this morning and soft poached eggs. It looks great.
Good, how are you?
Eggs are poached nicely. Smoked salmon looks good. And they served on a ciabatta bread with a little bit of spinach as well. Let's see if we can get a bite of the noodle and everything here. Yep, that's delicious. That'll do. That was another great breakfast at the Pat on Benny. Food is good, reasonably priced, and the staff are really friendly there. And
Most importantly, it's safe.
it's gluten-free for Cory. So we normally would walk back to our hotel from here. We took a Grab, usually take a Grab or a Gojek here, and the plan is to walk back. We're about 3.74-ish kilometers from the hotel right now. But today we're gonna go check out a different grocery store that I've got the name of. We were asking around for some grocery store options that might have some more gluten-free options, or even just better options in general, because the grocery store closest to our hotel, I feel like is not so much a supermarket, even though it's called a supermarket. It's called Primo Supermarket. It's more of a glorified convenience store.
And that seems to be very common. So the reason that we're going to the grocery store, even though right now we don't have any sort of kitchen, is that we were gonna stay in Ubud for a month and we have a kitchen. But one thing we're noticing is that we can't even get basics. So we're trying to find grocery stores that would have the basics, and there's one of the grocery store we're headed to. There's also one in Ubud, so we're hoping, and we're also going to go out to Ubud probably sometime this week and discover it, because we're not 100% sure what that looks like, and we want to make sure that we can at least eat while we're there.
Yeah, like Cory said, so the Bintang supermarket we're going up to is in Seminyak, which is about 2 kilometers from here. And there is also one in Ubud. So if we go to this one and we find that it's not actually a grocery store, that might change our plans for our stay in Ubud, because right now we're booked into an Airbnb that is a villa that has a full kitchen. We are planning to cook. But if it turns out we can't get groceries properly without going to some of these local, I don't know where the local traditional markets are, but if we can't get groceries, we may change up that plan and do a different stay instead, I think is the plan right now.
Yeah, we are finding a few more challenges than we anticipated here. I never would have thought finding a grocery store would be hard.
Yeah. So that's where we're going right now, and then we're gonna walk back to the hotel from there. So it's gonna be a bit more of a walk today, probably closer to 6 or 7 kilometers by the time we're back to the hotel, and we'll show you some of the sights we see along the way. The main religion here in Bali is actually Hindu, which I didn't realize. I'd assumed it was mostly Muslim like the rest of the region, but it's like 87% Hindu here. And every morning as we're out walking around, we see these little offerings everywhere. And there's a lot of a lot of like altars that people are praying to in the morning and doing their morning rituals. But I'm just going to turn the camera on here and show you some of these offerings, and they basically are all up and down the street. Like pretty much every shop owner lays one out in the morning. So I'm just going to show you here. Bali is definitely bustling. The streets are just always noisy, always crazy and full of people. And honestly, even having traveled fairly extensively in Southeast Asia, I've never been sold to so much in my life. Like every few steps, you've got a taxi honking at you, trying to get you to take a ride with them, someone offering you some sort of service or product or who knows what, but you literally cannot escape it here. Also, I just want to note the sheer volume of tattoo parlors, currency exchanges, and massage places is staggering. You literally cannot walk more than 20 or 30 meters without encountering one or the other of those businesses. It is crazy. We've arrived at our destination. This is the Bintang supermarket in Seminyak, and it is a proper grocery store from the looks of it. Fairly sizable, very busy, mostly tourists, honestly, but we got lots of aisles of dry goods, and I see produce over there. We'll see if there's meat and stuff as well, and eggs and that sort of thing, but I feel like this is as close to a normal grocery store as we're gonna find. So there's even alcohol in here, beer, and even liquor. Oh yeah, there's like a whole like sectioned off liquor store behind this glass here. It's a really big store.
I haven't seen this in Canada. Gluten-free scoop waffles.
So this is a proper grocery store. There's a meat counter, there's lots of fresh eggs, produce, there's fruit further down that way. And yeah, so hopefully the one in Ubud is just as good, because we're gonna need to be able to get groceries when we're there. So that was the Bintang supermarket, which was actually much better than I expected. So hopefully, if the one in Ubud is similar, we will be good to go to be able to grocery shop and cook properly when we're staying up there for those 3 weeks. And if not, we're gonna be eating out a lot more. Anyways, we are now gonna wander down over to the beach and walk all the way back to the hotel and show you the sights along the way while Cory finishes her popsicle that she got.
Yeah, it melts really fast. We've not been out in the sun for like more than 2 minutes, and I'm struggling.
It's really good though. It's, was it coconut?
Pandan mango.
Yeah, it was tasty. She let me have a little taste. We've turned off the main road, and it is a lot more peaceful here, relatively, as we walk towards the beach. Still lots of shops, a few restaurants along here, but it's much quieter, as you can tell from the lack of honking and relative lack of traffic. We're just about to hit the beach straight ahead. You see the gates there framing either side. It's a really cool building there with a really big statue on the top. I'm not sure what the statue is of. Probably some sort of Hindu god, if I had to guess. Unfortunately, I can't read Indonesian, so I have no idea what it says on the side of the building there. Let's go take a closer look. It's a really interesting building. I'm not sure what its purpose is. 3 stories, all glassed, like it looks like just a big stairwell that goes up it, but it doesn't seem to be used for anything, which is kind of weird. Yeah, so this is I don't know if it's pronounced Legian or Legian Beach, but we are now on the boardwalk here, which we're gonna follow along for the next hour and 10 or so minutes till we get back closer to our hotel. And as you go along here, you're gonna have people constantly trying to sell you stuff, whether it's surf lessons or drinks or food. It is crazy to me how many beach bars there are all along the stretch. Like literally every shop you see is a beach bar of some sort. And I don't know, I don't drink much, neither does Cory really, but like the drinking culture here just seems absolutely crazy. And there is, like we said, a lot of trash washed up on the beach this time of year because it's rainy season. There's so much there that there's a pair of front loaders driving up and down the beach, scooping up trash and keeping the beach clean. And you can see another giant pile of it there. It's unfortunate, but it's really hard to get away from. It's just, there is a lot of garbage here that's just washed up. And it's not even necessarily the fault of, you know, Bali itself. Who knows where the trash is coming from. It's coming from all over the region and just washing up on the shores here, I think. So by and large, you know, the locals try to keep the beach pretty clean here. They, you know, I see a lot of them actually sweeping up the garbage and, you know, like basically bagging it, hauling it off. But we just seen a couple of guys in front of their little beach bar literally raking it all up into a pile and raking it back out into the waves, which is absolutely useless. And I'm just going to turn the camera around so you guys can see what the actual garbage situation here looks like, because this stretch of Legian Beach is really, really bad. Let's just turn this around. So as you can see, just nothing but piles of garbage floating in the water here, sadly. And also some of the monsoon rains, I'm assuming some storm damage. This whole section of the seawall boardwalk in front of us is just obliterated. So we're gonna step off to the side here to get by. And you can just see how much trash there is down there that's just all washed up. All plastic water bottles and flip-flops and other plastic debris, and it's really, really sad to see. We're now down at Kuta Beach, and right along the boardwalk there's another one of these big buildings. Again, 3 stories, a lot of glass. Not sure what they use it for because it looks very empty. And another one of these big statues on top. Again, it looks like some sort of Hindu god. This time he's riding the back of a sea turtle. Really don't know what that's about. If anyone knows, please leave a comment below. Right next to that building, there's a pair of these statues. And honestly, it's really, really frightening. It's half fish, half elephant, complete with trunk and tusk. And then the body of a fish. Or is it a dragon? I can't tell. It's really, really weird. Really fascinating though. We're now past Kuta Beach, south of Kuta Beach. And we're heading towards what I believe is, I don't know how it's pronounced. It's either German Beach or German Beach. It's spelled J-E-R-M-A-N. And that's gonna be where we turn off the beach and head back to the hotel. I'm just gonna turn the camera around here so you can see. Along here, there's like little beach resorts off to our left. And then we're on the boardwalk, and then it's just water to the right. Not much beach here. There is a little bit of a beach up ahead, but you'll see that in a few minutes.
And we're hanging out at the pool. We came up to the rooftop after our walk. The walk was really hot.
We mistimed it. It was like midday sun by the time we were finishing. And it's 31 degrees today, humid and
Yeah.
hot.
But as far as like things to do in Kuta, you would think like go to the beach. But the thing is that there's no shade, and bathrooms are a little bit harder to come by at the beach.
They
so
exist.
it's just
They're sketchy, but
yeah, it's just nicer to come upstairs to the pool where it's nice and cool, and we have bathroom, and then we can get food and stuff if we want.
Yeah, which we've already had. We've had some snacks, we had a drink, and we're just gonna hang out here until we head out for an early dinner tonight. And we're gonna take you guys along for that, and then show you guys the sunset here. It's almost 5 p.m. and we're gonna head back out now after a nice relaxing afternoon in the pool and go grab some early dinner so that we can show you guys the sunset.
So the place that we're going today, it's Dolce Vita, and the owner is also celiac and have a complete kitchen dedicated to gluten-free, and they have like a dedicated menu and everything. So,
And it's a really delicious, legit Italian restaurant, which we've gone to a number of times in the last week and can't wait to show you guys tonight. So this is about as quiet as I've seen this main road
yeah.
as we're walking to Dolce Vita here. You see lots of shops, a lot of bike ride or motorbike hires here, trying to get you to take rides with them. A lot of places selling you
Welcome to Bali.
souvenirs and stuff. A lot of restaurants along here as well. And boy, on the GoPro you can really see Cory's sunburn on her arms. It was hot today. We got a fair bit of sun. And yeah, we're not actually kidding when we say this is the quietest we've seen this street. There was one day around this time we were in a Grab to go to a different restaurant, and it took over 20 minutes and we had barely gone 1 kilometer. We actually got out because we clearly weren't going to get anywhere anytime soon and just walked back to Dolce Vita because that was just easier.
Yeah. Dolce Vita usually you have to reserve, but if you get there early enough, it's not so bad.
But they do fill up, yeah. By about 6 o'clock, they're usually turning people away unless you have a reservation, which is why we made one. This traffic is a little more typical. And here we are at Dolce Vita. Still pretty quiet because it's early, but it's like super cute and
Very
red and white tablecloths and like super Italian.
This place offers, I don't know, what is it, a starter, I guess?
It's just a cracker.
Yeah, starter crackers, but they also have gluten-free, so you don't feel left out, which is so rare and so nice.
My appetizer has arrived, and I got the bruschetta mista, which is a mixed bruschetta, so it's one each of the 4 different styles they have. Cory, hands down, you can see I've got the original, and then one that's got melted mozzarella underneath, the tomato and basil, one that's got pesto, and then one that's got melted mozzarella, tomato and basil, and an anchovy. So a little bit different. I'm just going to go with the traditional one first here. And I've also got some fresh olive oil and balsamic vinegar to drizzle over top. Or spray over top because they've got the balsamic vinegar in a little spritzer, which is kind of interesting. The bread is perfectly crispy and fresh. The tomatoes are fresh, basil's fresh. You get the olive oil and the balsamic on there, and that's just, yeah, that's perfect. Just really simple, clean flavors. Okay, this one is a little bit different. This is the melted mozzarella and anchovy, which is not a flavor combination I'd ever think to mix with bruschetta. So let's give this a try. I'll just say that's an acquired taste. It's really anchovy forward, really salty. It's got all that umami that anchovy has, of course. And it also kind of overpowers the rest of it. So I'm not sure what I think about that one. But it's different. Our main courses have arrived, and I have gone today with a ravioli alla pomodoro. And so this is a homemade ravioli, like made in-house, fresh, filled with ricotta and spinach, and covered in a tomato sauce. And it looks and smells really good. Get spinach and cheese inside each one. Get some sauce on that. Oh, that's good. There's basil in there. The pasta's cooked perfectly. Just a nice amount of bite to it. That's really good.
I went with the spaghetti marinara with seafood. It has clams, calamari, shrimp, and a tomato sauce. Let's see.
And he was standing on the road.
The spaghetti is not made in-house, but it is really good. It's well cooked, and the marinara sauce has like a buttered garlic to it, and yeah.
So what are your thoughts on Dolce Vita?
It never really disappoints, to be honest. This is definitely not the first time we've eaten there,
No.
and I've had something different every single time, and I've yet to have a bad meal there.
Yeah, agreed. I've ordered a different main dish every time we've been, whether it's pasta or pizza or whatever, and they've all been absolutely delicious. We've had a chat with some of the employees there. The owner is Italian and has celiac, so when they reopened after COVID, he split the restaurant to have two kitchens, one that was dedicated gluten-free, which is why it's great for us because it's perfectly safe for Cory. We have no concerns for Cory to be able to have something safe to eat.
And one thing that they did say was a lot of restaurants will say they're gluten-free, but they don't educate themselves on it. So if it's not a dedicated gluten-free or like an owner has celiac, it seems like it's less likely it's going to be safe. So we're going to be eating at the same restaurants, like.
No, and that's a fair point, because a lot of the reviews we've read where, you know, these restaurants will say they offer gluten-free, and they do, but they don't fully understand gluten-free. So to them, gluten-free means no wheat flour, but they forget about things like rye and barley and soy sauce, and so their menus aren't accurately marked, which can lead to some pretty severe cross-contamination for Cory if we were to eat something like that. But yeah, Dolce Vita, honestly, as far as gluten-free places go, it's fantastic, but honestly, that's some of the best Italian food I've ever had in my life. And it's just clean flavors, simple ingredients, and just cooked really, really well, like super authentic.
And one thing I do have to do is we'll have to come back and I'll order the pizza. I've had the pizza there. Honestly, I've been gluten-free for 18 years. I've never had a better pizza. The crust actually has spring to it, which is so rare. And I mean, it's really filling. That's why I don't order it very often, but it just tastes like you're actually eating a real pizza, which is a big treat for me anyway.
Yeah. I think we're planning to head back there in a couple days on Saturday. Maybe we'll order the pizzas then, one gluten-free, one non, and show you guys what that looks like. But yeah, I think.
Yeah, Dolce Vita is a big plus.
Big thumbs up.
Yeah, and we'll have to show you the other restaurant that we've been eating a lot at some point.
Yeah. So for now, we're just conveniently right across the street from Dolce Vita. There's a path you can just see we're walking down, and it's brought us back to the beach, to the boardwalk area here. I'm going to turn the camera around so you can see this is where all the bikes are parked, and there's literally beach right in front of us. So we're just going to wander that way and find ourselves a spot to watch the sunset. These pirate ship shaped kites are pretty cool. I think that's where we're going to leave you guys for tonight. Hopefully we're going to leave off here with a hyperlapse of the sunset. Fingers crossed that works out. But yeah, thanks very much for joining us today as we wandered around Kuta. Do you have any thoughts today, Cor?
No, I mean, this is our time to like really relax and like embrace being chilled out. So I guess that's probably what we're gonna do.
And we're pretty good at it. So yeah, if you did like this video, please make sure to hit the thumbs up to give us a like, and make sure you subscribe.
And we hope that you'll join us in the next video for more adventures. Until then, stay curious and keep exploring.